always believed that living in a peaceful suburban neighborhood would shield me from the horrors of the world. But oh, how wrong I was. It all started when the Smiths moved in next door. A seemingly ordinary family with a smiling, friendly face as their patriarch. Mr. Jenkins, as he preferred to be called, was a man in his late 50s. His silver hair, neatly combed, gave him an air of sophistication. His deep-set eyes were always crinkled at the edges, as if he carried an eternal secret. But it was his smile that sent shivers down my spine. Whenever our paths crossed, Mr. Jenkins would flash his pearly whites, the corners of his lips stretching unnaturally wide. It was the smile of a man who had mastered the art of deception, masking something far more sinister beneath its facade. His teeth were perfect, immaculate, and yet the sight of them made my stomach churn. Curiosity consumed me, and I found myself peering through the curtains, observing his every move. He was meticulous, a creature of habit. Each morning, he would leave his house, dressed in a suit as sharp as a blade, and disappear into the shadows of the world. And each evening, he would return, wearing that unnerving grin. As days turned into weeks, my obsession grew, and I began unraveling the mysteries of Mr. Jenkins. I followed him on one of his evening strolls, keeping a safe distance. He walked with purpose, heading towards the outskirts of town, where the world grew darker, more obscure. The moon cast an eerie glow upon the desolate landscape as I watched him enter an abandoned warehouse. My heart pounded against my chest, its rhythm echoing in my ears. Gathering all my courage, I inched closer, peering through a cracked window. What I saw would haunt me for the rest of my days. Inside, the warehouse was transformed into a macabre gallery of twisted horrors. The walls were adorned with photographs, snapshots of innocent faces, their eyes wide with terror, their souls consumed by an unspeakable evil. It was a gallery of victims, each one captured in their final moments. But what struck me the hardest were the faces I recognized. Neighbors, acquaintances, friends, people who had disappeared without a trace, leaving behind unanswered questions and grieving families. Their disappearance had been a mystery to all, but now the pieces of the puzzle were falling into place. A cold realization washed over me. I was not an observer anymore. I had stumbled upon a truth that threatened to tear my fragile existence apart. Panic gripped me, but I knew I had to act swiftly. I turned to leave, my heart racing, when suddenly a bony hand clamped onto my shoulder. Mr. Jenkins stood before me, his eyes gleaming with a chilling malice that sent a shiver down my spine. The smile that had once unsettled me now seemed like a ravenous predator's grin. "You shouldn't have seen this," he whispered, his voice filled with a sinister calmness. "But don't worry, my friend. You won't remember a thing." His touch seared through my body, his malevolence seeping into my very being. Darkness consumed me as my consciousness faded away. When I awoke, disoriented and confused, I found myself back in my house. The sun streamed through the windows, but the tranquility of the suburban neighborhood felt like a cruel joke. The memories of that night remained locked away, as if my mind had been tampered with, as if I were just a marionette controlled by an unseen puppeteer. Yet, a nagging sense of unease remained, an instinctual fear of the smiling neighbor next door. And deep down, I knew that his chilling secret, the gallery of victims, still lurked within the recesses of my mind, waiting to be unleashed. My neighbor's smile had become the embodiment of a waking nightmare, a torment I could never escape.